Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Today's video is about the differences between the PARD DS3570 version 2 as opposed to the older version 1. Now the only difference is the version 2 now has an LED illuminator, whereas the older one had the laser illuminator. Now I did an enormous video on the DS35 version 1 in both 50 and 70mm formats. I'll put a link below to watch that video. That video covers all the technical features of the scopes which are the same between the version 1 and the version 2. The only change is the illuminator. This has been done to keep up with the legalities of such items, and I hope you'll see from the video, and I'll do lots of voiceover with it, some of the differences that are there and some of the differences you won't really notice. The version 2 is just as easy to set up as the version 1. On-screen menus and controls are simple, straightforward, and you get great daylight image quality. There are 5 profiles for 5 different rifles, and similarly for 5 different ballistic setups. This specific hare was being shot in daylight, but it's a difficult image actually because the sun was directly in front of me and quite low, and you can see everything I'm shooting is pretty much in shadow along the berm, which is presenting a safe backstop. You can see me tweaking focus throughout the video, and you'll also hear the button presses which are going on, changing between illuminator intensity settings or day and night mode. Here you can see deer in daylight, and of course with the DS, because it has 100mm of actual eye relief, not just recoil protection, that means you can put it on a standard deer stalking rifle and you're not going to have problems with the gun bumping into your face. You will at times see a circular mask held over screen, which is actually the circular image you see when you're looking through the scope in reality. The recorded footage on playback does actually have the standard 14:9 aspect ratio that you'll see on screen here. So that circular mask is just an artificial effect I'm adding to this video so you can appreciate the circular image like a regular daylight rifle scope you see when looking through the DS. Clicking between day and night mode is simple, but you'll see the image starts to get grainier as the light fades. Like any standard camera, going higher on the ISO setting, although it gives you an image, does increase the possibility of electronic noise, and those are effectively what you see as the slightly grainier structure of the image quality. Because when you flick into black and white mode for darkness, you change back again, and that's the point where you're probably going to start using the illuminator. But you'll see actually in this video there are times when the illuminator isn't even switched on. Essentially without the illuminator you don't get the eye shine, and when the eye shine's there that means the illuminator is on. But you'll hear me click between 1, 2 and 3 settings, and that will give you the difference in illuminator intensity. I love the fact that if your battery runs down it's easy to carry a spare and you can swap batteries in less than 10 seconds. When the rangefinder is in use, you put the yellow crosshair on the point where you want to rangefind. It's important to know that after dark you will see the laser itself, so it makes sense to go into the setup menus and move the yellow crosshair so it coincides exactly with the laser's strike point. The first trip out using the DS version 2, I had it on a 223 rifle for probable foxing but some hares and rabbits to shoot. Here you can see me shooting some rabbits at about 80 metres with it. That I also have a DS3570 version 1, and that was on a 17 HMR. I was even more fortunate to find some rabbits at similar distances. I can show you the exact head-to-head image quality of the V2 as opposed to the version 1. You can physically move the laser's direction of fire if you want to, but this does invalidate the warranty. In fairness, I don't actually want the laser reticle directly coinciding with the aim point reticle because I prefer to keep the aim point reticle clear so that I can make sure I'm getting the most precise shot positioning on target. On the second trip out I was more likely to engage a fox, but there are hares on this piece of land, although I don't shoot them there because they're not in quite such plague quantities. You can see the smooth image resolution of the hares moving around and the rangefinder in use, and there's also a distant pheasant visible through this barbed wire fence. I'm pinging backwards and forwards with the rangefinder and getting the ballistic readout, which would give me the aim off if I was taking a shot. It's getting very dusky now, so you do get a slightly grainier image when you're in full colour mode. Movement of the animals is still totally fluid and there's no problem tracking things moving. There's no image latency. The thing I love about digital night vision scopes like this is you still get full colour image really far into the dusk, and this makes identification and shooting far more natural. It's like having a regular daylight scope with just far better light transmission, but it only takes a fraction of a second to swap into black and white mode when it really does get too dark and you want to put the illuminator on. Here we can see a distant fox. Now, this one is on a piece of neighbouring land. Although I could have shot it at this distance, it would have been probably slightly inappropriate, and to be honest, I was more interested in filming this one. This is about 270 metres away and it's 50 minutes after sunset. A few squeaks and calls and eventually it does start to move towards us, and it comes into the corner of the bottom left of this field where there's a stile they often cross through, and it will run virtually directly towards where I am, on my regular day-to-day shooting bench actually. Here we can see some more hares after complete darkness, and yes, the image quality does fade, but we are still only using the illuminator on board the DS version 2. For shorter range rabbiting, pest control, ratting, you aren't going to need another illuminator, but I think it's fair to say a lot of people are still going to add larger illuminators to the DS if they want to extend the range, because you can't beat the fact that physically larger, more powerful illuminators will project more light at greater distance. I think it's undeniable that a lot of people are still going to add large illuminators. I have myself in the past for longer range foxing, but I think you'll see from the footage that for closer range pest control, rabbiting specifically, or ratting, you aren't going to need those things, and it's not going to have changed between the version 1 and the version 2. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video. Please like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell and keep track of the regular weekly uploads. Go through to the end of the video and make sure you get your tickets to next year's 2024 British Shooting Show in Birmingham. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.